Yeah, it's really important that we start designing for everything else that lives in our gardens. We can't be selfish anymore. We can't be having, like these manicured lawns, and we can't have all that stuff anymore. We need flowers everywhere. We need to get our pollinators healthy again. We lost half of them in the last 10 years. So this idea of inclusion, inclusion in our designs, inclusion in the way we lay out our gardens, inclusion of all these pollinators and birds and reptiles. We need to include them finally. We need to give them hidey holes. We need to give them flowers to chew on. We need to give them, insects that they can eat. We need to have this circle of every part of life having enough. This sufficiency of having everything fed well, everything is thriving. And that only happens in biodiverse gardens. It doesn't happen on manicured lawns. You might have the occasional deer walking over your lawn, but that's it. There's nothing happening in your garden. And if you really say to yourself, do I really want a garden that I look out the window and I see this perfectly manicured grass? Or do I want to look out my window and I have fruit trees everywhere and I have, all this activity? I have all these really beautiful birds show up. I have lizards climbing up the tree to hide. I have rabbits tucked away in a corner that are protecting themselves. I have, insects, butterflies, moths, everything showing up in my yard, and everything is humming. And that humming is a sign of biodiversity and health. That diversity is so apparent and it is so obvious when you've achieved it. Everything is content and moving forward. So make sure the next time you're doing a piece of garden, make sure that your garden's moving forward. Everything is growing, everything is getting a lot more beautiful. Your plants are growing, your fruit trees are taller every year. They're bearing fruit. There's so much going on in your garden because you, as a gardener, you've done a good job of including flowers, shade, shelter. You've got food for these animals. You've got everything is happening in your garden. When you go outside with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, you can interact with that space by observing how everything is humming and moving. Make sure you include in your designs, in your future endeavors, all the animals, all the insects, all the birds, all the reptiles, all the mammals. Involve them, include them, provide everything they need in your garden design. Yeah, this little clip that I made was just a little bit of a gimmick to explain to you how important it is for us to have flowering plants and, this nectar energy, this attraction of insects, this attraction of hummingbirds, this attraction of bees, whatever it may be, pollinators. So we need to make sure that these insects and birds and moths or whatever, they all need to be looked after. And the best way to look after them is by providing them with food. And flowers are their main source of foods. We've lost half the insects already. Let's not lose the other half. Instead of planting a new grass area that's completely manicured in your garden, try to plant some wildflowers. Try to get some color in your garden where these pollinators and these insects and little mammals show up and reptiles, and that can only happen if there is a food source for them. It only happens if there's life for them, if there's energy there for them. So the next time you're going to do a garden project, consider setting up a wildflower garden for the surrounding animals and insects in your area and birds. So be very organic and less manicured in your gardening efforts, and everyone will thank you, and the world will be a much better place because we have all these insects happy, humming, and the birds will have little insects to feed their young. So this circle of life starts with flowers. Why not promote a starting point instead of an end point? and the difference is going to be amazing. Your garden will thrive. The biodiversity will be exceptional, and you'll be amazed how everything shows up in your garden. You'll have trees show up, you'll have shrubs show up, you'll have other flowers show up. It's just the starting point. They are the flowers that you need to plant, and everything else will fall into place. So next time you're going to do something, remember flowers, flowers, flowers for the pollinators, and you'll make a big difference in this world.